it's easier to be a woman now than a man because of some of those things that we're talking about. So approximately, maybe a woman doesn't need a man, but ultimately we all need men. You do, because all the freedoms that you have were because men were willing to be incredibly violent on your behalf. Some men who died.
You all this.
Yeah.
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
No?
We don't need short men.
Do you need a man?
No.
Do you need a man?
Oh, God.
Do you need a man?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
No.
Do we need men?
No.
No? Do we need men?
We need men to make us stupid.
Do we need men? Do we need men? Do women need men in this world? Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because we can be strong, independent women.
Do we need men?
Like, not necessarily, but like, if I can look at them, like, we need a man to look at.
Do we need men?
No!
No, why?
Nobody needs men!
Really?
We do not need men!
Why not? Why don't we need men?
Why would I need men?
So what can you get from someone else that you don't get from a man?
The only thing I can get from a man that I can't get anywhere else is dick.
Okay.
And I don't need dick.
Do we need women?
Yes.
We do. Why?
These women are awesome.
Do we need women?
Of course.
Why?
They're beautiful.
Do we need women?
Women make us feel compassionate and affectionate.
Do we need women?
Of course we do.
Do we need women?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're hot.
That's my Sartain answer right there.
Do we need women?
I mean, shit, unless you're gay.
Do we need women?
Do we need women?
Yeah.
Yes, who's gonna do my dishes?
All right.
Okay.
So
There
now
you go.
we already did that. We did the Q&A here, but the question is, why were so many women so prevalent to do that? So there's a woman named Lori Gottlieb. She just wrote a book recently. And in the book, she surveys a bunch of men and a bunch of women. She asks a group of men, you're like, if you got 80% of what you wanted in a partner, would you be happy? And the men overwhelmingly said
This
yes, they
again?
would be very happy. And they asked women, they said, if you got 80% of what you wanted in a partner, would you happy? And overwhelmingly, the women said, no, that's settling. So there seems to be like some differentiation where it seemed to me like these men appreciated women, but not the other way around. Why do you think all these women felt that way, that they didn't need men?
We talked about this in the last episode. Men have created an unsafe place for women, and women have begged men to act right for so long.
You think it's unsafe? I think it's like 50 years ago was incredibly unsafe. The World War I was way more unsafe than this. I think men have created a very
That's
safe.
why there's a problem in this world. It is more and more unsafe, not less and less unsafe. The only thing is that it's more unsafe now in a more sneaky way than it was before. But it is a common experience for almost every woman to feel unsafe when walking out of her house.
Okay, I see what you're saying. But
And-
you don't think women felt unsafe walking out of their house previously in
I don't
previous
think
generations?
it was as bad as it is right now.
I think people were getting away with stuff a lot back then too. You don't
What
think
do you
so?
say? Men built the house for women to feel safe in. Men
built the house?
The house for women to feel safe in.
Okay.
Some men, because I would love a man like that. That's
even if
for
we go
sure.
from the beginning of time,
That's
men
not
built
even
everything.
relevant.
Of course,
He's
why-
asking
How
about
is
women
it
feeling
relevant?
safe. He's not asking who builds the house.
Yeah, but
Focus.
but how is she
That's
going
not
to?
right.
But how is she going to feel safe? Like,
I understand the
talking about
home that
those
he
are two
built for
different
her.
things. Those
I
are two
understand.
different things.
I think he's saying it like in a non-literal term. You build the house and you make the woman feel safe and you have a home with her. I understand that aspect. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm speaking just in general.
You're talking about like a contractor that went and built something.
No, just
Well,
in general, men built everything. You said that you don't think that your women are safe, right? Well,
No, I'm telling you what we think.
Well, what
This
you
is
think
not something
is not
that
reality.
men. Here's the thing. This is not something men can comment on at all. This is not a what's your opinion at all. You don't get a say in this. Women don't feel safe. Period.
Do you think that feelings supersedes reality?
No.
Okay, so
I
what
think
you said
proof.
was very nonsensical. It doesn't
No,
make any
I
sense.
think there's proof.
That doesn't make any sense.
I think there's proof.
What
actual
proof do you have? I got
Plenty
more
of
proof than you.
Articles, news, anything that you see where
Jesse, women aren't less safe. We have the lowest crime rate in probably maybe forever. We actually are. You should read. There's a book about this called Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker, and he goes over how by every single metric, poverty is lower and we have less crime. And how about child mortality? How about mortality during birth.
Wait,
You get
I'm actually going to take your side, Jesse.
Yeah.
I know this sounds crazy.
I'm
here.
waiting for the sarcastic
No,
comment right after.
no sarcastic comment. You said you don't feel safe.
That was
right?
exactly my point.
Do you think that women are unsafe, or do you think that they just feel unsafe for a lot of different, like, various reasons? Is it a feeling, or is it something that you can say, you know what, we're less safe today than we were before, or is it a general kind of like you just said? I'm speaking for women, on behalf of women, right? Mm-hmm. We feel unsafe. Mm-hmm. I would agree with you on that. And I'll tell you why. Because women are the vulnerable sex.
Right.
They are the ones that men have to protect, provide, and provision for since we were running around in the sub-Saharan African savannas as hunter-gatherers. Okay, so when women say I feel unsafe, it's generally because they're the ones that are charged with having children, being the incubators of the next generation. So of course you're going to feel unsafe, because when you are pregnant with a child for 9 months at a pop, and then have another one and another one after that, then yes, you're the vulnerable sex and rely on men to help have them make you feel safe in a very chaotic world that, death is right around the corner, right? So the feeling, I understand. The logic behind that, are you actually safe, are you not, that can be debated, but the feeling of it, I think a lot of women do actually agree with you. They would say, I don't feel safe because of any number of reasons, whether that's logical or there's actually something behind that. I think it's something that's sort of hardwired into women's psyches, because they're the ones that have to bear the children, and they're in a very vulnerable position.
And that also proves my point why women need guidance, which I had a problem with in the beginning of the podcast when you first started. So think about it. If you don't naturally, you're saying that we don't feel safe. Well, you just said that feelings doesn't supersede reality, right? So that means that reality is real, but your feelings aren't necessarily real. They can be real, but they aren't necessarily, meaning that you can have a feeling that actually equals to the reality. But what I'm saying is, this is why women need guidance, because they can feel whatever, and they need a masculine man, that's going to guide them in the right direction.
I have to agree with you to a point here, because I like what you're saying in terms of, and I think a lot of women would also agree with me, that if there was quality men that actually were true leaders, where they had their shit together, where they were building the home that you're speaking metaphorically and physically for their partner, etc., we would definitely feel, to your point earlier, more comfortable in our feminine energy, and to be kind of that, supportive figure to our men to, set them up to be the leader. But
so if they did the shit that you want, then they'll lead. Then they can lead.
No, not the shit that you want, but to create.
What is the things that you're talking about?
Well, if you let me finish, sir. What I'm referring to is, like, you have a very, very valid point in terms of, like, needing a male to be kind of the safe place, the protector, the provider, the partner, the defender, all of these things. But the problem is, in today's society, those types of men are dwindling.
Back to my question that I asked you that you didn't answer.
You didn't ask me a question, actually. You just interrupted me while I was speaking.
I did ask you a question. I'll ask it again. Here was the question that I asked. I said, what would that stuff be other than material stuff?
Okay, that's the first time you've asked me that question. First of all, I didn't say anything about material stuff.
No. I said something about material stuff because it's my question to you.
You didn't ask me a question. Sorry, but
I did ask you a question.
What's your question?
I'll ask you again.
Okay.
Other than material what are these qualities that you think are going to make you feel safe?
Okay, well, first of all,
a lot of things that you
I think you're making a lot of assumptions about me, which you don't know me. So in terms of
I'm responding to what you just said.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about material
no, but
items.
I think you did. That's the whole
No,
point.
she
I literally said nothing about
providing
material
a
items.
home, like, emotionally. She didn't say anything about jewelry or whatever you think that she thinks.
Yes. What?
I did. Well, I'll tell you the non-physical things I named, because I named several. I said nothing physical, by the way. I think I made one reference to a home, and I said a metaphorical home.
So just chill out.
I'm talking about being a partner.
Listen to what I'm asking you. Okay, listen to what I'm actually asking you. You say, if we have hypermasculine men who are doing X, Y, and Z, then we'll let them lead. Okay? Other than material, what do you mean by this?
Okay, so you just phrased it better and less attacking. So what I mean by that is somebody who you can rely on, that's communicative, that is, when I say rely on, I mean, like, if you want to talk to them, they pick up the phone. They're not ghosting for 3 days. So they're a reliable partner. They're a partner in terms of, like, if you both have jobs, you're both bringing income to the table. You're both bringing food to the table. You're creating a trustworthy relationship. You're loyal to one another. You have respect for one another, appreciation, gratitude. There's all these incredible things that are essential for a successful relationship. I'm just talking about being a good friend, a good partner, partner, a reliable, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. That's all I'm talking about.
So what puts you in the position where you think he should lead is just these qualities that you're talking about of friendship and this type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I could give you so many examples where I was in relationships where I really wanted that from somebody else, where they were creating an environment that was secure and safe, and I could rely on them and trust them. But that didn't happen. Like maybe they weren't working, they were living with their mom. They weren't showing me that they were able to be, kind of a torchbearer. That was me doing that. So that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for material anything. I'm just asking for a loyal, trustworthy, reliable partner.
I mean, if they're living with their mom, they're not working, those would be material conditions, right?
I guess in some respect, but then also non-material too, in terms of just like, you out of a partner, I want someone who has goals, ambition, drive, there's all these other things.
Material. Right. These are material conditions.
Well, in terms of like the physical things that you guys are talking about, I just want to make a really clear distinction just so no one's confused. In terms of like material things, I don't need stuff. I'm not a stuff girl. I don't have purses. I'm not a stuff girl, just to clarify. I mean, I'm a girl that will eat an MRE in your backyard in a camping, a tent, and I'm just as happy. So I want to clarify, material things for me are very different. Material things for me are, security, making sure that I'm okay, making sure like if I'm sick for a few weeks, I can take a couple weeks off work and my partner's got me.
Rollo brings up this point. He says, women want this security because they're the more vulnerable sex. So to the point of safety, it's really women haven't made it in the shade safety-wise, right? So he's probably right that this is a mental block. I mean, women used to get attacked by literal wolves, right? Like that actually happened. Their dresses would catch on fire in the 1700s and they would burn to death. Not a joke, right? Those were real safety concerns. Those don't really exist anymore. So when I'm asking this question, I'm talking about the mentality of, is this mental thing which is going on for I'm unsafe? Does this have to do with material conditions, or is this some other form of conditions which is causing this mental state of I feel unsafe?
I feel like women feel unsafe today because everything that you see on the news is some crazy individual attacking a woman.
What do you mean specifically? What, like, could you be specific? Attacking a woman? What do you mean?
I mean, like, not necessarily attacking a woman, but like you can hear all of these news stories about, individuals crossing the border, in the cartel and raping women.
I've had my house
Are you not
broken
hearing
into
these things
twice
daily?
in the last.
That happens a lot. Human trafficking.
I've had my house broken into twice. I live in LA in the last year.
Yeah, so I think the more women pay attention to the news and the things that are going on in the world, I feel like that can create a fear in itself. It doesn't mean that it's actually happening
you're
in
bringing
their
up a good
local
point.
area.
So 80% of the victims of violent crime are men. They're not women.
Against each other?
Yes. Yeah. Well, for the most part, there is some. I forgot. Dr. Buss had one. It was something like 88% of murders are men killing other men over women, or something like that. And it was like 6% were women killing other women, or something like that. But yeah, for the most part, while you may feel unsafe, the brunt of that unsafeness is actually men having to deal with that. We're the ones who have to get the shotgun and go downstairs when there's a noise in the kitchen, right?
I'm not saying I particularly feel unsafe. I can understand why other women feel unsafe because I don't personally like to live in fear.
Yeah.
There might be a statistic where like there's a certain amount of women that get raped every day, whatever. I'm not going to pay attention to that because I feel like the more that you fear something, the more that you draw those kind of circumstances into your life. So I just choose not to live that way.
Everybody going outside of their doors these days should have a little bit of fear behind them.
Yeah.
Male and female. I get like Miranda said, I can understand why a lot of women feel safe. A big thing to me is like who you surround yourself with. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of people who in my life that I feel like can protect me or would have my back. A lot of these being males that I can count on or that I would call for specific reasons for things that I need that I'm not or I can't handle myself. So just like the basic question of needing men, and I don't know, if you want to feel safer, maybe you should have like a band of men behind you who are going to have your back.
Why do you think it is that all those women in that video said, I don't need a man?
Half of them were drunk, first of all.
Well, okay,
they're younger women. They all look under 24.
I'm glad you point that out because when they're drinking, it's truth serum. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they all said it laughing and joking.
That's right.
They all were saying it
truth.
laughing. Every single one of them said it with laugh and smile and joking around. I think if you actually sat them down and individually asked them in a serious setting, they would more than half of them change their answer.
I think it goes back to like a juvenile thing as well, to where it's just like, ew, boys. And then the guy's like, oh, they're so hot. And so in that initial reaction of like playfulness, like, oh, ew, I don't need him. I think a lot of us initially have that.
It's also the same
thing-
reason why the podcast bring on nothing but a bunch of 22-year-old girls and ask them questions that they know they haven't had
Right,
life
they lack
experience.
experience.
Exactly. They want to clown and they want to be like little kids, like, oh, you farted. They want to make fun of women. They literally want to make fun of women.
Who do you think is deliberately going after 22-year-old girls?
Hold on.
Okay.
We'll get to you in a second. But like, they will make fun of women who are, oh, tell that girl to shut up. She's 32 years old. Okay. So you rather have a 19-year-old girl, 22-year-old girl sitting here who can't answer the questions properly because she doesn't have the life experience. It's a lack of maturity. It's the incels that just want to troll. They want to make fun of people for getting older as if they're not going to get older, as if their mother doesn't get older, and they all just want to laugh at stuff. But if you actually sat one of these drunk girls down or asked them in a setting that wasn't leaving the club, where they probably just had their ass slapped 20 times and guys trying to grope them and their friends that are just trying to dance and have a good time, they probably would have a different answer.
Didn't some
That's
of you
a
here
lot
say
of
that
situational.
y'all don't need a man? Did anyone here say that?
Well, I was just going to say that. I think most of the girls here at this table said that they did, right?
Yeah, most of them
so-
did.
We do need a man. So
We
here's
do
the,
need
here-
men,
here's
yeah.
the
Everyone
difference.
said that.
Almost every single person here said they.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I'm
which
saying
As
surprised
compared
me,
to all
quite
the women
honestly.
in the video who were drunk who said they didn't.
True
Yeah.
enough, yeah.
So here's the thing: proximate and ultimate cause of things.
Right.
The ultimate cause. I'm sorry, you all fucking need men. You have no idea the entire
I think
infrastructure.
all of us said that we
for
did.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just making a declaration for anybody else who's watching. From a proximate cause, you don't, because a woman can get a Glock and make $300K a year and have no association with men, whatever, and not deal with a lot of stuff. I think societally, it's easier to be a woman now than a man because of some of those things that we're talking about. So approximately, maybe a woman doesn't need a man, but ultimately we all need men. You do, because all the freedoms that you have were because men were willing to be incredibly violent on your behalf. Some men who died 200 years before you were born were willing to kill other men in order for you to have that level
And
of freedom.
women.
And yeah, there were some women there. Yes, absolutely. There we go. And we have a love connection here.
But I think although
We're going green to blue.
Straight.
Green to
there's
blue.
a lot of women out there that say they don't need men, and then you look at their lives and it's like, okay, well, you have a male boss, you know, your dad's sending you $200 a month, you know, there's all these men around them helping them, and I think that's one thing women really need to recognize is there's so many amazing men in your life, whether they're related by blood, whether they're your boyfriend or not. There's some man around you that's helping you out in some way, shape, or form.
I think a lot of these women think it's cool to say we don't need men.
Right.
Yeah,
Sometimes
Well, it's
there
a
you go.
feminism movement.
Okay,
I
so
feel like it's very trendy right now
Yeah.
to say that, like, hey, I don't need a man. Like,
Yeah.
we live in this world that I don't need a man.
Girl
I
power.
think it's just, yeah.
So sometimes we do the shows and we'll ask girls to rate themselves. If the first girl says she's a 7, we get a lot of 7s and 6s and 5s and 8s. If the first girl says she's a 10, all of them say
But that's
10s.
the 4-minute mile rule right there.
What do you mean?
You know, the first person to break
the
the
4-minute mile was
yeah.
it was 2,000 years after the mile was created, and the
Exactly.
second person was 43 days later.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying, but like that's the thing. What I found is that whenever I think a lot of these women saw other women being like, "Fuck no, I don't need men," and it just like it starts
Right.
to snowball. Whereas the men, you guys see that maybe men are like willing to put up with more and then like still appreciate it. Is that possible? Do you guys see that in
I
general?
think men put up with a lot from women.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Go with that,
I
Lieutenant.
mean, to your point earlier, you know, I do think, and I know this because I've seen some studies on it, that women are definitely more emotional. I don't like the word neurotic, which is why I got a little defensive earlier, because neurotic is considered a very negative tone, like a negative thing in general. Like women get called crazy, women get called neurotic, right? They get called all of these
But you know,
labels.
you even saying that proves the point that neurotic fits you.
I think your scientific explanation of it earlier, that makes it go down a little bit smoother, because when you just label someone something, it's like, well, we've known each other for
But
literally
yeah, the
5
fact
minutes.
that you're upset with a label, you're proving
No,
my point.
I'm trying to make it clear that there's so many assumptions out there about women. Like women just get like tossed off. Like if you look in the comments even right now, we get called 304s, we get called crazy. Like our opinions are never
Here's
taken
another
seriously.
word: catastrophizing. Women tend to catastrophize more than men. That means
I
that
agree
they
with that.
they go to the
dramatic
extremes.
effect.
Very
Dramatic effect. Yeah.
That plays a part in
hyperbole.
it, too.
Yeah. Dramatic effect. I agree
Is that a
with
better
you on
word
that.
for you?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Worst
That one-
case
that one
scenario.
goes down a little
We
smoother.
can listen. We're going to get a thesaurus out here when we go eat sushi after this. And we're gonna,
I think
I'm
it's
into
the
that.
delivery, and I said this to you
Thank
outside.
you.
It's the delivery, because you
Delivery,
can't
sure.
drop a bomb on someone in a kind of condescending, rude, or disrespectful manner, and then be, oh, you're being neurotic. Oh, look at you being defensive. Look at you being an emotional girl.
I definitely
I didn't say that you
I
did.
didn't point.
Hold on,
I
hold
didn't
on.
do any of that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that you did.
What if you
I'm
did?
saying there is a delivery and a
Wouldn't
way
that
to do
again
things.
make his point?
And that's why you
I
see a
think
different
that-
reaction from different
Remember,
people.
who said that? Well, what's going on here? Do you guys can't handle the feminine energy? I think it's the reverse. I think you can't handle the masculine energy.
Well, if
one
we
of you
couldn't
said that?
handle the masculine energy, why would we surround ourselves with men like Michael and Rollo? They are so masculine.
I think that's also a very narcissistic comment to say. You can't just throw out a bullet and be like, "Oh, you got hurt. Oh, why are you so like it doesn't make any sense.
What
It
does
doesn't make
narcissism
any
mean?
sense. Like you can't just shoot a girl and be like, "Oh my god, I'm in pain." It's like, well, calm down. Like it's
Can
complete
you explain
gaslighting. It's
what
narcissism.
narcissism
It's
means?
everything that. I mean, you know about this. You spoke on this.
I use terms and I define them. Can you define it?
I just did. Don't put me on the spot and tell me to do something. Why,
Wait, if you're ready, 3 countries. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Name 3 countries. Name 3 books in the Old Testament. 1, 2, 3. Go. Let's do it.
I think women pick up on energy and the tone behind the words that you say a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why she had the reaction that she had because
For sure.
it came from a very
So let's
stabby tone.
because you
That's
speak
the
different
only
languages.
thing.
Okay, let's
It's
try
not-
this. Let's try
different
this.
languages.